join me in welcoming to the virtual stage Jay Schwedelson.
Hey, Cynthia, thank you so much. That was so nice of you. I'm so excited to be here. Yesterday was incredible. You guys navigated some bumps that are not easy, but it's such a live event. And I love Litmus Live. They didn't tell me to say this. I've been a customer of Litmus and Validity for years. So I'm a huge fan of not just the products and services and all, but really also the vibe, the overall vibe of what you all are doing. So I talk incredibly fast. I promise you one thing out of the session, you'll get massive anxiety and you'll probably be like, that guy's annoying. Other than that, you may get nothing useful. And I share a lot of tips and tactics and stuff. So I want to share with you where my data comes from, okay? Because we're constantly testing everything. So yeah, I have this media business where we put on conferences like Guru Conference, subjectline.com, which we actually just recently sold to Constant Contact. And I also have an agency. And my agency doesn't just do email. And I'm not telling you this because I care about you knowing about my business. I'm telling you where my data comes from. Within my agency for both business and consumer clients, we transmit about 6 billion emails a year. And then we're constantly looking at what's working and what's not working. Because the worst thing about any digital marketing session of any kind is you go and they're sharing information from 2 years ago. The planet was very, very different 2 years ago. Who actually cares what happened 2 years ago, right? So everything we're sharing is very recent data and everything is about testing. That's really what I care about, is testing. Now, here's the deal. I'm about to get a lot of people not liking me, and that's okay. I'm a big believer if you're for everybody, then you're for nobody, because that's just it. So I don't want to say bring on the haters, but I just said it. There you go. Why do I say that? Because I'm going to share a lot of things. I'll talk about open rates. Oh my God, open rates are stupid. No, they're not. I'll talk about other things that make no sense. You're like, you can't do that. Yes, you can. And here's the deal. I believe I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in anything. Maybe reality TV. Love is Blind season 10 started last night. Don't ruin it for me. I'm starting it tonight. It's in Ohio. Very excited. I may be an expert on reality TV. That's not a joke. If you don't know that I'm into that, then here you go. But in general, I'm an expert on nothing. And I also believe anybody that calls themselves an expert is sort of a clown. Because there's so much to know, there's so much to do. We're all just trying stuff. So my whole vibe is that I'm going to throw out a lot of test ideas and a lot of them won't work, but some of them will. And that's a win. And you want to come from a test first environment. That's what it's all about. So not all tests and not all things are going to work for everybody. And that's okay. All right. This whole thing is about omnichannel AI. So I'm going to go all over the place, talk about basic little stuff in subject lines and stuff like that, but also some bigger stuff. Let's talk about AI. And the other thing that I'm going to be doing this whole way through is everything I talk about. I'm going to have consumer examples and business to business examples. So my peeps that are all out there on both sides, I got you. All right. So let's talk this through for a second. It is obvious and ridiculous that I even have to say this, and I don't need to say it. But of course, everybody's going to all the different AI platforms, all the different LLMs, Claude and ChatGPT and Perplexity, and who cares, right? Consumers now, over 53% of consumers are using AI tools for their shopping research. Why does this have anything to do with email? 56% of consumers plan on using AI tools to compare for pricing. Who cares? And on the business side, over 45% of B2B buyers are saying AI tools are now their primary research method for finding suppliers. Okay, basically, we need to figure out how the hell to get our offers and our stuff to show up in AI. I use AI for everything. Everybody does now too. And there's a very simple trick that I'm going to share with you all that, you go to all these sessions like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? It's going to take 6 months. I have to implement blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. There's so many little things that you can do. And everything I talk about today, little, free, 5-minute changes that can radically change the consumption of your business or consumer offers. Like when I go to AI, and this is what people do now. This is literally what I just did the other day because I'm turning 50 this year. So all my friends are turning 50. And I go to AI. Hey, my friend is turning 50. He discovered Padel, which is that weird version of what the hell is it called? Pickleball, 6 months ago. And now all he talks about it. Like he's sponsored. He's the biggest loser. And he owns multiple rackets. And I want to get him a birthday gift. And he also refers to himself as aging well, even though he looks terrible. And I ask it for a gift. This is how we're using AI to find stuff, to buy stuff. And by the way, if you play Padel or paddle or whatever the hell it's called, good for you. I'm going to make fun of you. Whatever. I don't care. Here's the deal. Evergreen is kind of dead. For the longest time in marketing, evergreen was our North Star, right? Okay, if we put all this stuff on our resource page, the 7 things HR professionals need to know, the 5 fashion trends you never want to miss, the 6 things you need to know every time you go on a trip. Evergreen was where we put everything for our offers and our content. And it used to work, right? If we put evergreen content and offers on our business and consumer pages, it was great. It was always there. It was our safe place. But here's the thing that's radically changed, okay? That is absolutely radically changed. I'll give you some specific details. AI citations. When you go to ChatGPT, when you go to Claude or whatever you use, any of them, okay? When you go there and you ask it a question, AI citations are now an average of 393 days newer than Google search results. What does that actually mean in English? It is looking, all the LLMs, all the AI tools are looking for stuff that is newer. Content and offers that include a recent date or time period in the title or offer name have a 50% higher likelihood of showing up in ChatGPT and other LLM results. What do I mean? I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So when you go to ChatGPT and you ask it, hey, I'm interested in, some billing software or whatever, and it pulls up what's available, and that's what your company does, and it doesn't show up there, and you're like banging your head against, well, why are my offers not showing up? Or on the consumer side, why are my offers and my sale things not showing up? By the way, I make all my own memes. They're all some version of terrible, and this is one of the greatest movies of all time. If you don't like Office Space, you should block me on all forms of media. There you go, I said it. All right, so here's the deal. Here's an example. I went on ChatGPT and I asked it this question right here. I asked it, we're trying to clean up billing and expense tracking internally. Any best practices or recent reports we should look at on this topic with links to things we should be checking out? Okay, I'm looking for billing and expense tracking software. What it gave me back, 3 of the 5 answers that it gave me back all did one thing. They had a recency signal in the name of the content. This is your North Star. This is your, oh, I wish I put in my subject line to get more whatever. If you're not looking at recency signals in your content name and your offer name, you're going to lose. And that's why it says the state of expense management 2026, Expensify blog, February 2026. Everything is saying it in the name of the offer or the title of the content. It's even bigger for consumer, okay? There is a reason that now, by the way, this is my inbox, like right now, right? There is a reason that all the offers now actually say, oh, this is our February offer. This is our must try February. This is fresh for February. Having a recency signal in the name of your offer, in the name of your content, is the secret sauce thing. That is what the LLMs, the AI tools are looking for. You don't need to do all this crazy, sophisticated stuff to show up. So again, I go to ChatGPT and I say, hey, I'm looking for a birthday gift under $100 for someone who loves the athletic leisure brands. Any good deals or limited drops or sales I should check out? Links would be great. And then what it gives me back is the Lululemon We Made Too Much Spring 2026. It's Adidas February 2026 bonus event. The LLMs are looking for the offers that have recency signals. So if you take nothing, and by the way, it's the same thing in Google AI mode. They're looking for recency signals. So how do you bring this into your marketing? You want to rename your reports, your webinars, your podcast episodes, your blog titles, your sales, everything to include something with recency. I don't care if it's evergreen content, you change one word. It's a state of HR laws. And then you add Q1 2026. It is the latest fashion trends, updated February 2026. You add the recency signal, and that is what's going to allow your stuff to show up everywhere. It's a game, okay? This is just a basic game, and this is the game that's working literally right now. So the other crazy stat is also on your website, okay? Pages that are not updated. We know this a little bit already from regular SEO. If you don't update your website pages, right, forget it. Nobody's going there. Website pages not updated in a year are 2 times less likely to be cited by AI tools, right? That is like a lot, right? Okay. So the last piece on this, and I will promise you I'll move on. Like, this isn't email related. Of course it's email related, because you're trying to get your offers consumed, and you need this to get your offers consumed. So basically, if your content or offers have a specific date or time reference in the title, they are 53% more likely to appear in AI generated answers, 41% more likely to be directly cited or paraphrased. This is the simplest thing. Adding a date to content is the lowest effort, highest ROI thing you could do for your brand right now. Okay, by the way, now it's getting some weird email stuff. I like super small tactics. They're like, really? I should try that. I didn't know that. And that's fair. When we talk about recency, here's a simple little hack. Subjectline.com is something I started 15 years ago because I fully believe open rates are extremely important. And I'll go, anybody who wants to bring on the hate about that, let's go. And here's why open rates are so important. Of course, they're not accurate. Hello, we know this bots and Apple and all the other garbage. Open rates are not accurate. Who cares? Directionally, if you send out an email and you A/B test it, and one has an emoji and one doesn't, and the one with the emoji gets 20% higher open rate, the emoji one did good. Directionally, it's really important. So anybody that says open rates is a clown, that doesn't like him as a clown, I'm sorry. I said it. I'm over it. Doesn't matter. Here's the deal. This is a great test. When you're right now, for example, in the next few days, if you put March in your subject line in some capacity, it actually will lift open rates. We love, I don't know why, we love the stuff that's coming next, right? So here's these January emails talking about February. We just want to say what's going to happen next. When you actually put the next month in your subject line, about 2 weeks out, it can lift your open rates by about 20%. And that's simple little test to try. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the impact of AI, but specifically for email. And by the way, Horrible Bosses, incredible movie. In the chat, I want to know, have you seen Horrible Bosses? Do we like Horrible Bosses? And are you a horrible boss? That would be amazing. Everyone should admit it right here. Yeah, okay, yeah, I agree. Everyone in the chat, horrible bosses, amazing. Oh, yes, I'm a horrible boss. I thought you said I am a horrible boss. You had a horrible boss. You don't want to have a horrible boss. You should change jobs. Office space, amazing. All right. Anyway, moving on. So here's the deal. Let's get into something in a second. We kind of realized something, how everybody prompts with using it for email marketing. We realize everyone kind of prompts wrong, right? So here's what by the way, my slides are historically ugly. Like they don't make sense. There's no two slides at the same font. They look ridiculous. Like, it's unbelievable. But in a good way, that like we didn't use AI to make the slides because they're horrific. And there you go. But anyway, going back to this, here's what most of us do as it relates to going to AI, right? We go to ChatGPT. Hey, I'm sending out this email. Can you write me a subject line? And then AI gives you back the most average thing ever, right? And in general, right? And by the way, Joker, horrendous movie. Joker 2, actually the worst movie of all time. If you've seen either one and you like them, I don't know what to tell you. You're wrong. They're terrible. But I don't know. This makes me. I made this meme literally yesterday. I was in a car and I made this meme, and it just makes me laugh because everybody's a clown. I like saying the word clown. Why? I don't know. I really don't know about anything. Who cares? Anyway, here's the trick. You want to stop treating AI like a writer. And you want to start treating it like it's 100,000 readers, okay? And this is kind of cool. So what we realized, and we tested this, we call it the 100,000 person prompt, and it's ridiculous. If you go to AI, instead of just saying, hey, write me a subject line, and you say, I want you to predict how 100,000 real subscribers would respond to these subject lines and rank them by expected open rate, okay? For some wild, awesome reason, when you ask it to act as if 100,000 people were doing something as it relates to your marketing, it switched from creative mode to statistical mode, and it works well on almost all the different AI platforms. And you get a totally different output. And so the subject lines generated using the 100,000 person prompt, we tested this like over and over and over and over again. And we found that 70% of the time, the 100K prompt outperformed just whatever the regular stuff that it was giving back for just asking for generic subject lines. And then we did this again with call to action button words. We had it review landing pages. Like, act as if you're 100,000 people going to this landing page. What would you change on the page? What don't those 100,000 people like? For email headlines, for salmon recipes. I eat salmon. Does anybody here eat salmon a lot? So I'm not joking. When my kids are now 18 and 19. When my kids were little, my wife, who's a dermatologist, I'm not kidding. This is my Botox. I'm not kidding. I can't lift this is me lifting my forehead as far as I can go. You ready? That's facts right there. It's embarrassing. But anyway, so she's a doctor. She's way smarter than me, which is a very low bar to achieve. But regardless, so when they were little, she's like, I don't want them eating chicken fingers every single day. So she said, we're going to do salmon night every Tuesday, starting at the age of like 4 or 5. And I hated it to start because, first of all, it's gross. But then my kids really hate it, but we stuck to it for now. We're like 19, whatever it is, 14 years in. Now I like salmon, but the problem with salmon, and my kids like it too, so she won. It wasn't chicken finger media. The problem with salmon, what am I talking about? I don't know. The problem with salmon is we eat dinner like 6:45. First of all, by 7:45, I'm starving. Actually starving. The salmon accomplished nothing, and I'm mildly nauseous. So I know it's good for you. It doesn't taste terrible, but like we need to work on this. Anyway, I'm moving on. I have to move on. I have to move on. I have to move on. Okay. So back to ChatGPT and back to email, what we need to know. All right. This is pretty wild. So we all have like one brain, and maybe everybody here is more sophisticated. Okay. Maybe you are, and that's good. I'm a very simple-minded species. And here's the deal. We all go to AI and we ask it for the same basic stuff. Hey, well, help me write this email copy. Help me write this subject line. Help me do this. And the LLMs are pulling from the same data, basically, and they're giving back the same garbage. Okay, they're giving back the same garbage to everybody. So here's the deal. You can't take what AI gives you anymore because the pendulum has swung too far. We're using AI for too much stuff. We can't take what AI gives us and just use it. Okay, because everybody out there is using it. So, for example, what we have found is that when you use any of these words as the first word in your subject line, it will actually drop the number of people opening it up because in our subconscious, we may not realize it, but these words are now becoming extreme wallpaper because everybody's using it. You know, when you get an email that says discover whatever, who cares? Nobody wants to discover anything you're involved with. Like, actually learn. I didn't want to learn since I was like in 4th grade. Nobody wants to meet. Nobody wants to act now. It's unbelievable. So if you're using these words to start your subject line, it's no good to be. We need to stop unlocking things. Everybody needs to stop unlocking things. Nobody here's a locksmith. It needs to stop. It's over. No more unlocking. Okay. Zendaya knows. She knows. She knows nobody wants to do any of these things. We're not Magellan. It's over. Okay. Now, let's take it a step further. This is wild. And by the way, Bridesmaids, all-time top 10 movie. I got to know in the chat. All-time top 10 movie. That's what this meme is from. I would say potentially top 5 movie all time. The bathroom scene, if you can call it a bathroom scene, greatest scene of all time. I don't know, bathroom in a sink, whatever you're into. Back to what we're talking about. Here's the craziest data. When you go to the AI tools and you ask it to help with a business-to-business subject line, the word unlock appears in 1 out of every 8 things it gives back. For consumer, the word upgrade appears in 1 out of every 9. And for nonprofit, the word join appears in 1 out of every 6. So when you say this stuff, okay, it's like, why don't you just say, don't open my email? Because all you're doing is you're blending in. You're blending in. We need to stop blending in. That is how we are losing. We need to un-AI our marketing. And if you use the word webinar, I hate the word webinar. I absolutely hate the word webinar. Listen, there's not a human being on earth, not one that was ever born, okay? 0, that when they get an email and the first word in the subject line, they see the word webinar and they say, oh my God, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to find out more about this webinar. That has never happened in the history of Earth. You are literally starting out your subject line with the worst word in the human language. Nobody cares. They care about whatever the topic is that you're talking about. And by the way, stop calling a webinar. Call it an insider session. Call it a live panel. Call it anything. Just don't call it a webinar. Oh my God, I get very, very worked up. Worked up. Okay, let me give you some of my favorite subject line and pre-header tests to mess around with right now. This is kind of cool. These are the ones that are my jam, are my people, all the things. First of all, let's talk about personalization. When somebody says personalization in email marketing, okay, when someone says personalization in email marketing and your go-to is, oh yeah, we do that. We do first name, comma, whatever in the body copy and in the subject line, especially in the subject line, that's how we do it. Please, you should probably leave this right now and go and hide in shame. Okay, first name personalization, the subject line is 1984, threw up on your marketing campaigns. It is done, right? So what does actually work? That is simple. I'm talking about simple personalization. Here's the game in email marketing. And every time you hit send, okay, every time you hit send on email, what you want to be thinking about is the person's mindset. And the reason a person wants to engage and they want to open something up is when they see themselves in your marketing. When that subject line is for them, they're like, oh, this is for me and not everybody else. That is when they want to open something up, right? Like I live near Miami. If I got a subject line that says, this is great for people near Miami, I want to open that up. If you get an email, okay, that says just for email marketers, you're going to open that up. When you put job function, when you put somebody's company name, when you put their geography, when you put their lifestyle, this is for affluent investors, this is for budget conscious, whatever, you tell the person who they are. Stop just segmenting your list. And when you make a segment, tell them that they're in that segment. That's how you win. That's the personalization, the subject line that works the absolute best. And I'll have business and consumer examples here in a second, right? So on the business side, double personalization is my jam, my favorite thing. You put the person's job function, for example, or their company size or whatever. So here you have CIOs, the CIO's 8-step roadmap to enterprise AI success. All of a sudden, oh, I'm a CIO at an enterprise organization. This is for me. This crushes it, right? Or $1 drops are here for self-care, but on a budget. Oh, I'm trying to watch what I'm spending. I'm trying to better myself with my health or whatever. Double personalization. The more you could tell the person who they are, the more it actually gets them to want to engage, the more that they know it's for them. So you really want to think about that you're not just targeting these people, but that you're telling the people who they are. So I love double personalization. Let's talk about pre-headers for a second. This is another one of those that the chat can kind of blow up on me and say, pre-headers aren't important anymore because Apple's doing this and this one's doing that. Who cares? Pre-headers are very important. Okay, they are. Here's the deal. A boatload of people can still see pre-headers when they're looking at their emails. They can, and they have an impact, and they probably will for at least the next year or two. So you don't want to get on the pre-header train? That's fine. That's a you thing. I'm telling you, they will increase the percentage of people opening up your emails. And people are like, well, why aren't you focused on what's inside the email? Well, I'll get there. But to tell you the truth, if someone doesn't open your email, who actually cares what's in your email? I mean, legit, who cares? And I always laugh when people are like, hey, I got a great open rate. I got a 47% open rate. And I'm always like, that actually is great. That's really good. But it's amazing that us as marketers, we are excited about more than half of the people that we're marketing to don't actually open whatever it is that we're sending out. And that's a good day. Why am I talking like that? What am I, like Mighty Mouse, like Ann was talking about yesterday? Anyway, so pre-headers. There are 3 magic words to put at the start of your pre-header. There are 3 words that work better than anything else. By the way, I like Gilmore Girls. There are 3 words I like better than anything else, and that is and, but, and plus. And we call these our continuation pre-headers, right? Continuation pre-headers. Because what happens is we don't realize in our subconscious, we read the subject line and then we check out the words in the pre-header, and it gets us to continue. And when you think about email marketing in general, you always want to think about it as a chain. right? You have your friendly from, your from, from name, then you have your subject line, you have your pre-header, you have the headline of your email, all the things. If any link in that chain is broken, you lose the person. You lose the person. And they're following this chain. And the pre-header is like the third part of the chain, the from name, the subject line, right? And then the pre-header. And Button Plus crush it. They actually help to lift your open rates by about 19%. Okay? They just are kind of magic words that allow us subconsciously to continue on, right? And to continue to read them. And you'll see it more and more and more now that you're like, kind of like, oh, wait a minute, that crazy guy Jay who talked really fast. That's weird. I'm going to try that out. And again, it's all about testing. If I say 20 things, see, the reason I say so many things is because I'm not very bright. And my game is if I say enough things and you try enough of them, something has to possibly work. They can't all fail. And then you can give me credit for the one that actually does do well. See, that's my game. It's a numbers game. Anyway, let's talk about something else. Title versus offer. This is something that is like, to me as a marketer, probably the most important thing that you can do. A lot of times you have somebody has a piece of content. Let's say on the business side. Somebody in your organization, we have a new piece of content. We have the guide for whatever, who cares? We got to get this downloaded. They hand it to you and it's already been named. Somebody named this garbage piece of content and you're now responsible for getting it downloaded. Or we have a new sale. Hey, we got to get people to take advantage of the sale. The name of the sale is the whatever sale and you're handed it. The name of your offer, the sale, the name of your content, the name of your webinar title is possibly more important than the actual thing, the actual offer. Because if your title of it stinks, nobody's going to deal with it. And people think they can't rename the title of their thing. It's not a dog. Okay. You can rename the title of your content pieces of your webinars. You should be A/B testing the title of your sales. We're going to use the chat here. I'm curious about something. I'll give you an example. Forget about what it is. It doesn't matter what the topic is, the content itself. If I told you I'm promoting these 4 things, a guide, an ebook, a report, and a white paper, but you could only download one of them. You can only download the guide, the ebook, the report, or the white paper. Put in the chat, which one would you want to download? Guide. I would say guide. 80% people here are saying guide, right? Maybe. Yeah, a lot of guides. Not many white papers. Tell you that. Not many white papers, right? Now, why do I say that? Why do I say that? Because here's the deal. When we looked at, for example, the same pieces of content, the exact same pieces of content, but we called it an ebook and we called it a guide. The guide had a 28% higher download rate. Now, maybe the content police are here at this session, which is very possible. But what is actually the difference between a guide and an ebook? What, one is chapters and it's longer? Okay, who cares, right? Who actually cares? The game is let's get more people into our nurture, into our funnel and sell them stuff and sell them garbage and whatever. If we're not thinking about the naming conventions of what it is that we're putting out there, and we're not at least testing them, what are we doing? The same thing for a checklist and a cheat sheet. What is the actual difference between a checklist and a cheat sheet? Thank God for cheat sheets. I mean, my peripheral vision in high school got tested massively. Thank God for all of these things. Okay. But just by naming it the same piece of content, a cheat sheet, you're seeing a 32% higher download rate. Okay. How about on the consumer side? I'm curious in the chat. This is for real. What would you sooner open? Something that says just in or new in that subject line. I'm all in on just in. I don't even know why. I have absolutely no idea why just in is more compelling to me. And again, it's all about testing. And if you're not testing it, you're missing out on an important element, right? And so it increases actual click-through rates by 24%. So just opening our mind to how we are kind of like Justin Bieber. Bieber's back. I feel like Bieber's, by the way, Britney, did you see this? Britney Spears, free Britney. I'm always worried about her. Instagram is like very scary, but she just sold her music catalog yesterday for $200 million. So I don't know if she needs more money, but she definitely needs help. Her Instagram is really disturbing. Anyway, let's talk about a few things. I want to talk about lo-fi content. We're in this world of AI, okay? And when we're sending out like our email newsletters and all this stuff, I want to tell you something. If you are going and using stock photos, okay, and that is for what you're using for your webinar, and that's what you're using for your email newsletter stuff, that's not good. We were not put on this earth to share stock photos with each other. We just weren't. And specifically within email newsletters, we're seeing that lo-fi content that has been intentionally created with that raw, authentic, and less polished feel, okay, has a 44% higher click-through in email newsletters. 44%. Because we're like, oh, it's a human. And this is going to get more and more the case. Lo-fi content. Point your phone at yourself. Take a picture where you look terrible. Okay, oh, I'm having a bad hair day. Oh, no, who cares? That's what we want to see. Okay. Now, how about Anne? Love Anne Handley. Okay, love Anne Handley. She's my people. Anne has one of the best email newsletters on the planet. Here's a shameless plug for her newsletter. Why in Anne's newsletter so often are there these lo-fi pictures of herself? Because you feel connected. And that's what brands are doing. That's what people are doing. You feel connected when it's lo-fi. If you're just using these, stock photo pieces of garbage, what are we accomplishing on this earth? Okay. How about even on social? When Alex Lieberman went to go launch his new business, he cut a piece of underwear as a founder of Morning Brew, stuck it on his face. Okay, if Cisco can put out pictures of cats on their social media, you can do it too. Lo-fi content is where it's out. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg figured it out. He used to post garbage like this. Everyone thought he was an actual robot, right? The most generic garbage. And now he's Mr. Jiu-Jitsu man, drinking beers on surfboards because he has access to all the data in the world. And he knows that what we want to consume, okay, is lo-fi content. Lo-fi content wins. I'll give you an example. This is my newsletter. Shameless plug for my newsletter. This went out today. I'm not telling you this because you should care about my newsletter. Every newsletter I send out at the bottom, and I do this purposely so everyone reads the whole stupid newsletter, which is about marketing tips, I include a section called Since You Didn't Ask. And I talk about the most useless, meaningless garbage on earth. So, for example, today I talked about The Housemaid, the movie, with Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried, whatever her name is. That movie was terrible. I mean, straight up horrendous. Okay. And it got a 74% Rotten Tomatoes. What is going on, people? Do not go see the movie Housemaid. It's a very, very bad newsletter. Bad movie. I have a bad newsletter. Bad movie. My point is, we want to have a human connection in what we are doing. Okay. That is what we are interested in. That is what we care about. All right, let's talk about something else in pre-headers for a second. That oh, you liked Housemaid? People liked that movie. That movie was terrible. Actually terrible. Anyway, who cares? It also scared me. I can't watch anything scary. I watched the Blair Witch Project about 20 some odd years ago. I had to sleep with the lights on for 3 days. I've never seen a horror movie since then. And I covered my eyes in The Housemaid 3 or 4 times. I'm a big wimp, big wimp, huge wimp. No scary movies. I can't even watch the trailers when they Saw 4 or The Purge, Idaho, or I don't know, whatever. I can't get involved with it at all. Zero. Anyway, let's talk about pre-headers for a second. A lot of times in marketing, it's not what you say, it's what you see. And I love white space. I love white space in our marketing. Okay. If I said to you right now, which of these emails stand out to you? I will tell you that if you say anything other than Guru Insider, you should go to a physician, okay? Because it's impossible not to see it, right? It's impossible not to see it. So what did this email do? It's really what it didn't do. All it did was not include a pre-header. And look at the impact it has, right, with the white space. Look at that impact. How about here, Stack Marketer? What is it that you see? It's impossible not to see it, right? It's impossible not to see it. All they did was not include a pre-header. So here's what we've uncovered. If you have an incredible short subject line, right, 3 words or so, and you have no pre-header, right, you will see your open rates increase purely because people will stop that scroll. And that's the game. How do we get them to stop the scroll? Now, here's the gig. Some people will be like, well, what if you just write a short subject line? And here's HubSpot with Masters of Marketing doing it. It works kind of well. It's not as good. And here's the game with no pre-headers. So everyone knows. Everyone uses very different platforms, all the different things. And you'll say, well, I can't do that in my platform because it's hard. Well, here's the two things you should know. If you just go into whatever email sending platform you're using and you just don't have a pre-header, it will pull in the first line of text, okay, as the pre-header. So that won't work. So the simplest thing that you can do, go to any of your favorite AI platforms. Say, I use, MailChimp, Constant Contact, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, HubSpot, blah, 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 blah. Okay, to send out my email. Can you give me in the most simple terms, the simple steps I need to do to not include a pre-header on my next promotional email marketing campaign? And it will tell you these spacer images and do this and do that. It's very simple. Take a minute or two, and then you try it and you win. And we go on to win the day. Now, don't do a Papa John's here. No, I'm not saying I don't like your pizza. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying I don't know what's going on here. I'm just saying I don't know what we're doing. They've been doing this a bunch. I'm sure it has an incredible open rate. I cannot advocate for this tactic, but go Papa John's. There you go. I don't know how else to bring that up. Okay, let's talk about the Apple update for a second. So Apple updated their mail app, and according to Validity, 47% of all email is read when people click on the little blue icon on their phone. So when Apple updates their mail app, it's kind of important. Okay, kind of important. So what is one of the parts of the update that is really, really, really important that we're sleeping on? So what happens now is when you open up an email, okay, with the new update that everybody has on their iPhones, whatever, and this is going to be more and more and more as we all apply the update. What they're doing is they're not just showing you the email that you've opened, but they stack right below it the email that's the most recent one before that. So the older email from that same sender shows up, as you see here, right? It shows up the second most recent email from that sender, right? And it's doing this across the board. It will show you the email you wanted to see and then the one that they sent previous to that. Who cares? Why does that matter? I'll tell you why that matters big time. It matters because now emails have a longer life. In the last 12 months, click-throughs on emails older than 90 days are up 55%, right? So your emails have this longer tail now. So we have to be very intentional about those emails that we're sending out and where is that traffic going? You can't just say, sorry, you missed a webinar. Sorry, that sale's over. Because more and more and more traffic is going to be on those older emails. And I would argue it's the most valuable traffic because that's a very intentional click that somebody did, right? That's not a knee-jerk reaction to a weird subject line. That's them being like, oh, I really like this brand. Oh, I missed this email. Let me check it out. So really being intentional about where that traffic is going is so important. All right. So let's talk for a minute here because this session's omnichannel. Ooh, big word. Your email list is not just for sending emails. Okay. It's not just for sending emails. You should be using your email list for so many different things. Let's talk about your bounce file for a second. I think one of the biggest fails in email marketing is what we are not doing with our bounce files. All right. So you send out your email. Okay. And here's a very small campaign. You send out your email. Some emails are not deliverable. They bounce. They don't get their, soft bounce, whatever. Okay, they're just not deliverable. What do? We go, oh, okay, well, can't hit them anymore. Cool. Wrong. Your bounce file is gold. There's two things you should do. On the business side, you've just lost the person that could be your primary contact, right? So your salespeople need to be alerted, hey, this person's not there. That's numero uno. But from a marketing perspective, okay, on the business side, you absolutely want to be thinking about turning that into an account-based marketing file, right? You take all the domains, all the bounces that you have, and then you take that file and you start to run remarketing, retargeting campaigns to people at those companies because you no longer have the contact at that company, okay? And your bounce files are still going to match up perfectly with the domains and all the stuff. And on the consumer side, find these people on social, okay? Find them on social. That data is still there. You don't want to lose these people because the email just bounces. If you're not using your bounce files for remarketing purposes, you are leaving one of the most important data sets that you have. It's critical. The other thing that you should be doing with your email data set, which you may or may not be doing, is micro boosting. When I talk about micro boosting, this is everywhere. Micro boosting right now is the secret to marketing. I'm talking about spending $50 to $200. I'm not talking about spending thousands of dollars, and you should use your email database to do it. All right. Wedding Crashers is another great movie. Vince Vaughn movies are incredible, right? Couples Retreat. Has anybody seen Couples Retreat? I also would put that in my top 10 favorite movies. Couples Retreat is a great, underrated movie. Underrated movie. I like the guys like, no, we just give smiles. Hello. I like that guy. Eden East. Exactly right. Eden East. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Oh, micro boosting. So, like, for example, if you take for on certain platforms like YouTube and Instagram, if you have a post you want it to circulate further, right? If you put $50 behind that and you boost it, it will get like 3x circulation because the platforms are so hungry for new advertisers and for people to use boosting. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars to get it to circulate further. Okay, if you literally upload your email file and you say boost it and you just do a micro boost, it rips so hard. So there's a new ad unit that came out last week from Reddit that I think you should be using your email list for, business to consumer, and run a $200 test. It's sick. It's called the Reminder Ad Unit. This is brand new, and they send out an email notification with it, which is so cool. So if you have a sale that you're running, if you have a webinar that you're pushing, an event or whatever, okay, you use their new, I love Reddit. I think Reddit is exploding in terms of driving performance for business and consumer marketers. And I'm not paid to say this, by the way. But their Reminder Ad Unit came out last week. And basically what it is it's in your feed on Reddit, and it'll open up, let's say you have a sale or you have an event, and it will say, hey, do you want to be reminded about this? And then you say yes. And when you say yes, two things happen. You then get push notifications like on your phone as it's approaching the webinar or the sale, and you get email notifications reminding you that it's going to happen. It crushes it. So this ad unit just came out. I think it's a really worthwhile test if you haven't considered it yet. LinkedIn's really interesting lately too. LinkedIn really wants to be email, and I don't know if you've seen this, and I'm going to put the link up so you could find out all the details right now. So LinkedIn now has rolled out an ad unit. Basically, this is the same ad, but what you can now do is almost identical to what you could do in email. In real time, dynamic personalization. They're adding in that you can do like things like first name personalization, industry personalization, all the different things. So on the left, you see the regular ad. Are you ready to revolutionize the way you work? On the right, you see the same ad. It says, Jason, are you ready to revolutionize the software development industry, whatever? And they're doing this in real time. And basically, they want to be email. Jury's still out on if this ad unit is going to work, but if you haven't looked at it, I think it's really interesting to consider. All right, a few other things. Secret LinkedIn trick: how to use email data. If you take 10 companies that you really want business from, okay, and you take 25 email contacts from those companies, and then you do a boost only to people, only to those people, those 250 people, and you spend $200 over 15 days, you will dominate their feed. Those people will think that you're the biggest marketer in the world because you'll be all over their feed, and you can then crush it and get their business, right? What we see on social is what we believe. So you could actually create an environment for very little money for the companies that you desperately want to work with, right? And it's a fun little test. About a few other things. We're seeing a big drop in people forcing work email. And I have a soapbox about this, okay? First of all, a lot of people out there, jobs are being lost, all different things, whatever. And I think it's terrible that we require, I don't care that you need a work email for your CRM garbage. Here's the deal. That person that's out of a job right now, they're going to get another job. And when they do, they're going to remember the companies that were good to them, that allowed them to access their content and webinars and better themselves when they're in that period of time where they were trying to figure out what to do next. And they're going to work with those companies that gave them access. To require work email is not cool. I don't like it. I'm against it. I'm very happy that there's been a 20% drop in work email being required in the last 12 months, other than for demo offers or for things of that nature. Because obviously for a demo offer, it might be a little bit different. But I think this sucks, and everyone needs to stop doing it. And I don't care if that upsets people. Now, the reason it's dropping so much is because on LinkedIn and Meta and Google, when you want to run retargeting and remarketing campaigns using the email database you have, all of the social networks are built on consumer email address information anyway. And we need to find the people on social, on all the different platforms. So collecting the work email address doesn't allow you to run these retargeting and remarketing campaigns. What are we doing, people? Stop requiring work email. It's ridiculous. And if you're not using Instagram for your B2B lead gen and database building, you're crazy. I'm going to skip through here a little bit because I want to get to certain things. Letter format. I love letter format emails, but here's the deal. This is not a letter format email. You can't put pictures and stuff in a letter format email. It doesn't work. People ignore it. This is not a letter format email. You got these green dots for that AI gave you. It's not going to work. This is a letter format email, right? It looks like somebody sent it to me. And here's the deal. When you have like the no images and you really make it look letter format, pure letter format email get a 28% higher click-through rate. So if you're going to do it, do it. All right, a few little things before I wrap up. Bonker stuff. I'm going to tell you 2 hacks to get a promotion, not that you need my advice. Number 1, I love Replit. This is ridiculous. Replit is a vibe coding tool that actually is it's a free version out there. I don't work for Replit. I just love using it, and it's awesome. Okay? If you've never gone to Replit, you should. So I went to Replit. You can make anything there. You don't need to know how to code, and you just tell it what you want it to build. It builds it a functional version for you in seconds. So I went to it and said, hey, Replit, I want to build a landing page grader. Imagine you do this internally in your company. It could be for anything, an ROI calculator, who cares, whatever. I said, I want to build a landing page grader. And I gave it this prompt. And you'll have the access to my deck, so you have the prompt, who cares? And it was all about the landing page grader. And then I added this to the landing page grader that I wanted to do. I wanted to give it a whole thing about CTAs and whatever. And within 4 minutes, it built me this. I didn't even tell it the colors. I didn't tell the layout. I didn't tell anything. Fully functional, right? Imagine you had this internally. Like, oh my God, look at me. I just did that. So Replit's amazing. I love that. The other hack to get a promotion. Here's the deal that nobody does. Because in my company, it drives me crazy. You have an ESP, an email sending platform you use. You have a MarTech stack. You're just like Validity announced Engage. Incredible. Okay. There's somebody out there who's paying for Validity that is not here today, that is not aware they launched Engage. Okay. And they're not going to be, that's bad. That's a fail by that person. And that's common for everything in your MarTech stack. If you go to your higher ups, whatever, say, listen, I want to go through our entire MarTech stack and I want to set up a call, every 6 months, and I want to do it right now. And I want to get us pitched by the things we're already paying for. I don't want to pay an extra dollar. I want them to pitch us on what we're not using and any new features that we have. And then I want to bring that back to our organization and tell everybody all the stuff that we have access to that we don't have to pay for, that we're not tapping into. I am telling you, you do that in your company, you will get a promotion. You will be awesome. You will be a rock star. Listen, I shared a lot of test ideas here. They're not going to work. You need to work in a place where test ideas are allowed to fail. Testing and failing is winning. It is not losing ever. All right, a few things here. I have some free stuff to give you. Number 1, if we're not connected on LinkedIn, I'm going to hopefully drop that in the chat right now. Please connect with me on LinkedIn and Instagram. I share horrible memes. I share horrible information, all the things, okay? Number 2, I also put on a free giant virtual conference that I'm proud to say Guy Hansen from Validity has spoken at every single one. Guru Conference. It is free. It is virtual. If you go to guruconference.com, you can register. And we don't do on demand. We're not nice like Validity and Litmus are. We don't do on demand. If you don't register in the month of February, this thing's in November. Okay. If you don't register in the month of February, if you do register in the month of February, we actually give you on demand. Only the people who register in February will get on demand access later on. Okay. And last year we had Nicole Kidman. We have Sarah Jessica Parker, Damon John, Joey Chestnut eating spam. So please register in the month of February, because I want you to have on-demand access, and it's free and virtual, and it's mildly entertaining. And I will follow you back. Send me a note. I'm very sorry. Okay, a few other things. This cheesy QR code, I try to put this together so that way people can get my garbage. But if you want my newsletter, I have a podcast that comes out weekly. I have a book, and all proceeds are going to cancer research with the V Foundation. If you want these slides, you just scan this thing. You can get access to all of my horrendous content, things, whatever. We become best friends. We can hang out. We can talk about reality TV. The rest of my day is going to be focused on Love is Blind 10, which is in Ohio. Cleveland rocks. Very cold there. I live in South Florida. I make fun of everybody all the time. I could always tell who's from the Midwest, because in the Midwest, people that come down to Florida, if it's like 60 degrees out and you see somebody in the pool, you're like, that person's from the Midwest, because they think this is warm. That's not warm. My brother lives in Wisconsin. I make fun of him daily. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing in Wisconsin other than eating cheese and freezing your butt off? Love Wisconsin. Great place. Very cold. Extremely cold. Very, very cold. All right. So here's my podcast. That's an old picture of me. I look like a doofus. You could check out my podcast if you want. Do this, not that. Why not? That's my email address. If you want, hey, I partner with a lot of companies. I do lots of my agency. Let me help you. I don't know. I'll speak at your event. I'll do weird things. So that's my email address. You have all the things, and now I'm going to shut up because that's all my time. And listen, I hope it was useful. Maybe drop in the chat, say hi, anything. Thank you, and you guys all rock.